Questions and comments? The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Natural Resources.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And I want to thank my colleague and say on behalf of the committee what a pleasure it is to work with him, and his passion around the natural resources sector and wood particularly is just it's just a distinct pleasure to support him. I want to talk about a couple of things and maybe ask if he could expand. Certainly the Brock Commons in his home province of British Columbia is another outstanding example of wood construction. And the member actually took me on a tour of Structural M in the summer, and I had the opportunity to talk to the workers and talk to the owner. And one of the things that struck me is that Canada is becoming such a leader in cross-laminate timber, CLT, and what those opportunities are like on the international market in terms of Canadians' know-how in architecture and building, and what that means to companies in British Columbia. Thank you.
The Honourable Member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I'd like to thank the Parliamentary Secretary for her remarks. You know, I'm passionate about this because I think we are really at the cusp of a revolution in building design and construction in the world, and Canada is at the forefront. The Europeans are doing it, Canadian companies are doing it, the Americans are behind, they're far behind, so we have this opportunity, and that's one of the reasons I brought forward this bill. There's so many things to talk about in terms of why it is a good way of producing buildings. They are constructed much faster. They're more airtight. You can build them to very narrow specifications. The most airtight, energy-efficient buildings in the world are constructed with engineered wood. So they are cost-efficient, and again, they're beautiful, and they also have this quality that because they're made of wood, they are storing carbon that has been sequestered by the trees in the growing forest, and so they can act to reduce our carbon footprint. And we are really leading the way in North America, and I hope this will continue.
Questions and comments? Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député d'Abitibi-Témiscamingue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. A few years ago, I tabled a motion to have a national strategy on forestry, and I would like to know if my colleague think that having a national strategy on forestry could help to complete his bill and bring other focus that could not be included in his bill, and could help the forestry industry that is currently having a hard time.
The Honourable Member for South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Well, I'd like to thank my colleague for that question. I think a national forestry strategy would be a good idea. As I said, the industry is undergoing challenges now, or transformation. The forests themselves are under threats from climate change, forest fires, insect pests. So we have to plan ahead. These forests take centuries to grow, and so we have to plan ahead to know what kind of forest we have. And as I said, we are going to have challenges with the wood supply, the fiber supply, because of those things. And that's why I think value-added propositions such as engineered wood really will help us get more value from the forests. But we have to take advantage of that now, and I think a national strategy would be a good way to start that long-term planning for the future.
We have time for a brief question. Questions et commentaires. The Honourable Member for Lakeshore. Sorry about that. Etobicoke Lakeshore, and very brief question.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to thank the member for his kind remarks about our committee, but more so to him personally, because the reason our committee is so effective is because of people like him. This member brings passion, commitment to the committee, and it rubs off on all of us, frankly. So thank you for that. He spoke briefly a moment ago about the revolution that's starting on wood. I personally know more about wood now than I did before. Perhaps he could tell me if, in his view, will this have a greater impact on the construction industry at large?
Brief answer from the member from South Okanagan, West Kootenay.
Well, yes, and thank you again for the kind remarks. Yes, I think this will change the construction industry dramatically. I will be seeing more and more buildings manufactured in plants, inside, in parts, and then those parts moved to the site, put up very quickly. So buildings will be constructed much more rapidly and in much better way.
Resuming debate, reprise